In the history of comics, the very first superhero team ever created was the Justice League. They predate the Avengers by 3 years, and their popularity directly led to the creation of both Marvel supergroups, the Avengers and the Fantastic Four. Both teams have the Justice League to thank for providing the inspiration. DC may have been first, but Marvel has been competing for the title of greatest superhero team ever since. And when it comes to seeing these teams play out on the big screen, the Avengers in 2012 set the bar pretty high. Now, in 2017, DC finally plays catch-up by giving us their team-up film. But before I give my review of the Justice League, let's look at some of the history first. Although the Justice League was the first supergroup, that wasn't their original name. They were first called the Justice Society of America. In the early 1940s, during the Silver Age, DC's All-Star Comics introduced the Justice Society in issue number 3. The founding members were Flash, the Green Lantern, Hawkman, Sandman, Spectre, Atom, Dr. Fate, and Hourman. Sadly, they only lasted about a decade. Comic book sales had taken a nosedive by the 1950s, and by 1951, the Justice Society was no more. Then, when comics had a resurgence in the 60s, the superhero team concept got a reboot. The Justice League of America debuted in March of 1960 in issue 28 of DC's The Brave and the Bold. When the Justice Society was reconceived as the Justice League of America, it cut the core members from 8 to 7. This time around, the Super 7 were the Flash, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Green Lantern, and Martian Manhunter. Back when it was still the Justice Society, none of the core members were allowed to have solo titles. But that rule went out the window with the Justice League rebrand. While the revamp was pretty drastic, the name was pretty similar. Similar enough to make you wonder why they changed it at all. The reason? Major League Baseball and the National Football League. Both organizations were growing in popularity at the time, so the higher-ups at DC figured adding the word league to their name and making it aggressively patriotic might help them capitalize on some of that cash. But let's be honest, adding A-list characters like Batman and Superman are probably what made the bigger difference. Justice League still rolls off the tongue a lot better than Justice Society. Fun fact, the first enemy that the team had to defeat was a giant alien starfish, which you can see here on their premiere cover. For me, growing up, Superman was my first superhero. I would dress up like him all the time, and my favorite superhero TV show was Superboy, which just recently I found out was shot in my hometown, at the campus of UCF. Now, 30 years later, my daughter dresses up as Supergirl. It just goes to show how big of a deal Superman is. He's one of the top 2 most popular superheroes in the world. Of course, the other in the top 2 worldwide is Batman, now arguably even more popular than Superman. He's still my favorite to this day. Some of my best memories as a kid were dressing up as Batman for Halloween and getting to meet him in person at Six Flags. But aside from Batman and Superman, I'm not really much of a DC Comics fan. The only DC comics that I own are issues of Batman and Superman. As I grew older, I became more of a Marvel Comics fan. Their list of characters were much better in my opinion, and had 2 of my favorite teams, the X-Men and the Avengers. For me, just seeing those characters come to the big screen made all of them even more incredible.
Oh, Superman!
Gee!
Superman from 1978 was the first superhero film that I ever watched. Christopher Reeve was perfect then and still leaves a legacy. But before him, there were several people to play Superman. There were black and white serials that aired in 1948, as well as animated shorts. If you're lucky, you can find some pretty cheap in your local drugstore for just a few bucks. As for Batman, the film that gave him the most iconic look was Tim Burton's picture in 1989. For the first time, Batman looked dark. A drastic change from how Adam West played him during the 60s.
Holy red herring.
Michael Keaton starring in the role was an odd choice for a lot of people, but now he's become a fan favorite to this day.
I want you to tell all your friends about me.
What are you?
I'm Batman.
The sequel films were a mixed bag. Batman Returns gave the Batsuit a makeover, smoothing out the edges and sharpening the look.
Wow. The Batman.
Batman Forever changed actors, giving Val Kilmer the role and adding Robin to the team.
I want a car. Chicks dig the car.
But Batman and Robin in '97 was what almost killed the franchise. From butt shots to Bat credit cards, the movie was pretty over the top.
The Iceman cometh!
After it was poorly received, the franchise went dark for almost 10 years. Then Christopher Nolan gave us the Dark Knight trilogy, starting in 2005 with Batman Begins. The franchise had something it never had before, a realistic look and feel. At the same time, Superman got a much anticipated sequel with Superman Returns, but was pretty underwhelming. When Nolan's trilogy ended, Warner Brothers then took the same approach with Superman and gave us Man of Steel. Henry Cavill was perfectly cast to continue the legacy of Christopher Reeve and is still a fantastic Superman to this day. But in 2016, DC took a big hit with Batman v Superman.
You don't understand. There's no time.
I understand.
It was not only poorly received by critics, but also by most fans. So when Wonder Woman came out earlier this year, she had to repair the damage. She not only did that, but she raised the bar. Wonder Woman was also one of the first films to ever showcase a team of warrior women, complete with battle scenes and a mythology that was well crafted. The film was a huge success and continues not just to entertain, but to be something that inspires people. The only other character in the Justice League that had previous attempts at live action was the Flash. He had a TV show in the early 90s, as well as a show that you can still watch today. Which brings me to my thoughts on the Justice League. People have been waiting for the Justice League to hit the big screen since the 60s, and sadly, we might need to keep waiting one day for it to be done right. It's actually pretty embarrassing. It's crazy that it took this long to adapt into live action, and you'd think since it's taken so long that it would be a massive hit. But sadly, that's just not the case. And I'm a fan. I mean, this Halloween my family dressed up as the Justice League. I was hoping for the best, and I really wanted to like it. I think in response to Marvel, DC rushed putting it together. Unlike Marvel, they didn't take the time to introduce us to each member of the team through solo films.
Thanks, Alfred. But I'll take it from here.
Do I know you?
It felt like they waited too long to start moving forward, when Marvel started laying their groundwork years before. There's a reason why that battle in Civil War was so satisfying. We were already invested in everyone we saw on screen. The drama behind the scenes of Justice League didn't help either. Everything from switching directors to what most fans call Mustache Gate. If you don't know what I'm talking about with that last one, after you see the film, Google it. The bottom line for me is, this film should have been amazing. It has Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, not to mention favorites like Aquaman and Cyborg. The film had some great scenes, and one of them I absolutely loved.
You're the Batman?
So you're fast.
That feels like an oversimplification.
I'm putting together a team. People with special abilities.
Stop right there. I'm in.
But the majority of the movie was just a mess. And with all the history that comes with the characters, I think they deserved better. Overall, I give the film a D+. It's unfortunate, but hopefully not too late for DC to right the ship. But what did you guys think? I hope you liked the review. Leave your comments down below. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Could this mean curtains? Is this the end of their career as crime fighters? Can they avert disaster? Answers tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel.